Hello, welcome to the Gorgeous Goddess YouTube channel. So the message of this video is do not wait to be perfect until you start to share your light and your gifts with the world. And how this video came up is I'm actually a little bit unwell and I'm dealing with some big things and letting go of some deep parts of myself. And I think this video wants to help me by going crooked. Not everything has to be perfect. Anyway, and I started, as I was healing, as I was letting all this light in, I started getting all this inspiration for videos, and you know, I was like, okay, yeah, I should make that video. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this now because I'm sick. And the next thing that came through, oh look, my video holding device wants to help me and wants to prove it doesn't have to be perfect because it keeps just like falling down. Anyway, we'll just keep adjusting this because it's helping with this theme of you don't have to be perfect before you share your gifts and your light. So yes, I'm thinking about this video, but I'm going, oh no, but my voice is not quite there and I'm a little bit sick. And the next thing that came very strongly is you do not have to be perfect to share your gift. And then it was like, okay, make a video about that right now. So you do not need to be perfect to share your gifts. In fact, it's really important that you share as you are walking any kind of path, spiritual path, or even if you're not spiritual, as you are, maybe it's self-growth or personal development that you call it. It's really important that you share all the steps that you're taking whenever you get inspired to do so, or whenever you feel brave enough to do so. And do not let this idea that, well, you haven't really figured it all out, you don't really know everything about what you're going through, or you're not an expert yet, stop you. Because there's so many ideas that I have to get through here, but there's a few ideas that I need to explain first, and then we'll bring it all together. So the first idea that I want to explain is that actually this path of self-growth or spiritual development is a path of many levels, right? It's like school. You start at grade 1, you go through the upper grades, the higher school, then you can go into university, and then you can go on and study more. And, you know, when we kind of are waiting till we graduate university to share, but you see, when you're in grade 5, you are the best placed person to help somebody who's in grade 3 or 2 or 1. Okay, because the things that you have to say when you've finished university about a particular topic are really not so helpful to the grade 1 student. That grade 1 student has no capacity to understand what you're going on about and what excites you right now and what you're inspired to share about. Maybe the people who are in grade 1 of university might be very much helped by what you're sharing when you've graduated university, but it doesn't really help the people who are in grade 1 or high school. Okay, and so this is a path, like a leveled path, and there's things you need to overcome and accept at different levels. There's different vibrations you need to let go of. There's different illusions you need to free yourself of. And the thing is, until you get to the very top, you're not free of all of them yet, right? So, you know, when you are in grade 5, you've mastered the things at grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, you haven't yet mastered the things from grade 5 up to university. Okay, so therefore, when you're at grade 5, you might not feel super masterful. You can see all these faults. You might have let go of certain illusions, but you can see within yourself so much that is still unhealed. You might feel unworthy of helping other people. You might use that as an opportunity to silence yourself, or you might even, when you do try to share your gift, you might think that your expression is so not perfect, is so flawed, because you see the things that are still unhealed in you that are coming through. And then you might use that, you might, you know, succumb to the temptation of shutting yourself down and say, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to share it all. But the thing is that we are supposed to do this as one. The human race is supposed to help each other along the way. Okay, we're not supposed to leave it to the Jesus and the Buddhas of the world. While they're important, we are all one consciousness. We've all got that capacity to reach that enlightened state. But as we're growing along that journey, we are still all connected to each other, and we are still supposed to be helping each other out. And that's not to put any guilt in there, but it's just really to empower you to realize that you are allowed to be part of that process of growth and to help the human collective at every stage, right? And it's really important because the things that you have just mastered, imperfect as you may be at this time, you've just mastered something. You're in the best place to help the next person coming along with that particular problem. It might not be the problem that these enlightened people who are, massive spiritual leaders are dealing with right now. But because you've just dealt with it, pardon me, because you have just dealt with it, you are in the best place. You remember what it's like. You remember the challenge is alive to you, and you're inspired, but you feel you are present to, what you have just let go of, and you are in the best place to help the next person coming along. And, by the time you're perfect, you won't have that memory be so vivid and so bright, and you're not really, at that place, when you do graduate from spiritual university, you're really best placed to do some really big work. But it's when you are making those little steps along the way that you're supposed to be helping the people who are just struggling with those same issues. So I hope that you know that you're allowed to contribute. And I hope that you know that really what you have to say is very valuable. And here's the next thing here's the next reason why you are so needed. Okay, because if we take the teachings of a master like Buddha or Jesus or some other master that you acknowledge, which might not be front of mind for me, they did their spiritual path and they overcame things a certain way, but everybody's internal architecture, the things that they need to let go of, the flavor of their ego mind, the flavor of their personality, their limitations, is different. So because each soul is different, it experiences the low density and the limitations of this environment here on earth differently. And the internal reactions to that environment are different. So wow, it feels like we're going off on a bit of a tangent, but I'll explain this as well. So, your being is made out of different God qualities, different God rays. So for example, what peace feels like as a pure vibration is different from what love feels like as a pure vibration. And it's different again from what joy feels like. Okay, so we can keep talking about these kinds of qualities and come up with lots and lots of these qualities that all vibrate at the level of divinity, at the level of the spiritual realm, not the physical realm. And they while they're all pure, and while we can call each of them, this is what the creator, this is what the divine feels like, they're very distinct. Just like in the lower realms, fear and hatred are very distinct qualities, or maybe, I guess everything is kind of based on fear. So maybe we'll take fear out of it, but hatred and annoyance feel very different. And humiliation and shame feel very different to, this false pride or something like that. So as these lower qualities have different vibrations and they also have different feelings, so do the higher qualities. And so each being is made out of this unique, I guess, quantities of these different rays. Now, depending, so when you come and embody here and you're experiencing something that's now impure, you'll have a different internal reaction depending on the qualities of your soul. So like one example that I gave is to somebody recently is imagine that you've got two beings, and one person's kind of inner being is primarily focused on the love ray. They are, primarily love. I think we're all a combination, but let's just take an extreme example of imagining that one person is primarily just focused within the love ray of the divine. And then let's say you've got another individual and they're primarily, their primary substance that makes up their soul is this ray of freedom, you know, the freedom to be unrestrained. That's also a quality of the divine. Now, if these two people, call them love and freedom, Mr. Love and Mr. Freedom, let's imagine the same thing happens to them. Somebody comes over, says something nasty to them and pushes them over and holds them down. Now, how is Mr. Love reacting to that? Mr. Love in that moment might, you know, feel the love within their being and recognize that what they are experiencing is not love. What they're experiencing is something that feels like it's the absence of love. I'm not going to call it the opposite of love. We'll call it the total absence of love. Let's say we call it hatred. And they may have, that will cause a particular pain within their being because they're primarily focused on the lack of love in that situation. And they may make up different explanations for this, you know, before you know that, you know, before you realize what's going on, where that person is just blinded by illusions. They do really love you. The core of them loves you, their spirit loves you. You might take into your being thoughts like, I'm unloved, I'm going to be hurt. So let's now take Mr. Freedom, and when they're being pushed over and held over, and their being is primarily made out of freedom, and so they're feeling the vibration of freedom within them. What they are picking up in the situation is that this person is aggressively stopping my freedom. Maybe they feel trapped, right? Maybe they feel, maybe the primary sensation they're experiencing right now is a fear of, you know, that my physical freedom is impinged and I'm in danger. And then also experiencing the lack of love there. So they might make decisions, things like, you know, people want to trap me, people want to control me. So we've got two people, because of the difference in their beings, they're experiencing the same situation in a very different way. And then, you know, we take those internal experiences and we build on them to create a personality. So this person over here might become really withdrawn and go, well, you know, I need everyone to prove that they love me before I open up, because, you know, I know it. I've accepted something. You know, when I felt this non-love, I accepted something, a belief in my being that people don't love me or I'm unlovable. And so they're creating ways of coping with that by maybe saying, okay, I need to emotionally protect myself from people. And then we've got Mr. Freedom over here, who experience being trapped and who experience their physical freedom. Somebody wanting to control them might be coming up with things like, I need to rebel against authority. I need to never let anybody be in a position where I'm the weaker one ever again, because then they can trap me, they can hold me down like this. And I need to get so powerful and I need to control others before they control me. So you can see that because we're so unique, we're going to go through this experience on the earth, and we're each going to create a completely different ego. And even if, you know, the ego of these two people might have some similarities, the combination of experiences combined with how that person's being reacted, combined with how their free will came up with strategies to counteract that, or which parts of that experiences that person used their free will to accept into their being, will mean that, you know, right now on the earth, everybody is like just a completely different hodgepodge of pains, traumas, explanations, views, intentions, things that they are worried about. And even if we share some commonalities, or there's different traits, or there's different maybe limiting beliefs that are kind of global that many people share, the way that interacts with the rest of your being, because of all the other things that are in there, is so unique. What that means is that there is value in every person's growth, because the way that Jesus did it, or the way that Buddha did it, was unique to the set of ego structures that they had to let go of. And the words that were key for them might not be the words that really are key for you or are key for another person. So because you are going on this unique journey, the way that you overcome a certain step on this journey might be just the thing that somebody else needs to hear. And it might not be available in spiritual traditions which rely on the experiences of just one being. So even though you may feel insignificant, and even though you feel like, you can't possibly have something to share because your experience is so unique. It offers something else that's not out there. It might be your unique perspective, might be just a thing that somebody across on the other side of the universe, sorry, not the universe, we're not projecting out to the universe, are we? On the other side of the world needs to hear, to help them let go of that thing, because maybe the two kinds of ego structures that you have and how they interact, they might just by the odd chance be the same as what that person has going on. But maybe Jesus didn't have that going on. So maybe those words, while they're profound and they are a way, they're just not going to speak to you as directly or to that person as directly as what you have to say. So don't wait until you're perfect, and don't think that you are not qualified to help you by going through the human experience. You are completely qualified to be of assistance to other people.